Welcome to Patty's Place, a place where we'll talk about grief, dementia, and caregiving. I dedicate this podcast to my mom, who passed away about 2 years ago from dementia. So pull up get your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, or like I said, if you're having a really bad day, a glass of wine. And today I thought we would talk about long-term care and financial investments because it's something that you don't think about until you need it. So today's guest is Raymond Levine. He is the principal at Levine LTC Benefits, which offers long-term care insurance benefits to individuals, families, and businesses. He has been associated with life insurance companies, Moni and New England companies offering insurance benefits, again, to individuals and companies. He was a president of a mortgage banking company and associated with prominent banks such as City National. He became knowledgeable about the long-term care benefits because his father, who was a judge in Los Angeles, needed care several times in his career. And his mother, an estate planning attorney, lived to be 103, so he recognized the need to own an LTC plan, and she used the benefits for 18 years. He has also been recognized on TV on Moving America Forward with Doug Lewin and William Shatner, and he's also appeared on numerous podcasts discussing the long-term care insurance and other financial topics. So thank you, Raymond, for joining us here on Patty's Place.
Lisa, it's a pleasure that you've invited me to be a guest on your podcast. I'm honored.
Well, I'm glad you're here because this is actually a very good topic. So can you tell us what exactly is long-term care insurance?
I've asked myself that question many times. What is long-term care insurance? Let me start off with a couple of things. Caregiving in America is in a crisis, and you don't want to be poor or not have available assets and need caregiving. Now, why am I saying that? It sounds like, I'm just trying to be doom and gloom. What I really want to get people to is to be motivated to say, I've got to do something long before I need caregiving. So what is long-term care insurance? Long-term care insurance is part of financial planning and something that, some wealth advisors and financial planners advocate, some don't, but it isn't as advocated as much as it should be. But why? Well, the reason is because it's, they always talk, have the thing about death and taxes. One of the other things that's almost guaranteed is you're probably going to need caregiving. What's caregiving? Think of yourself when you were little. Your parents took care of you. And as you grew up, then you became more independent. And then as you age, other things happen. Sometimes you have an illness. Sometimes you have an accident, or you could have early stage cognitive. So caregiving benefits, long-term care insurance benefits, is a form of health insurance, but it doesn't pay for your doctor visits or diagnostics or hospital care. It pays for caregiving services. And what that means is it's caregiving services because it's not that you have some medical issue. It's what has the medical issue done to you that you need caregiving. And the typical definitions are eating, bathing, dressing, transferring, or you have cognitive issues. In other words, it's what has it done to you? For example, supposing you hurt yourself. Okay, you hurt yourself, but and you're in pain, or you have bandages, or you need crutches. But supposing it's a situation where you can't, you need somebody to help you get up in the morning, or bathe, or dress, or to drive you someplace. That's where this type of insurance pays either a family member or a friend, depending on the policy, or for professional licensed caregiving services. And depending on the situation, if you need to be in a care center, and there was a nursing home, assisted living, cognitive living. And, I'm going on and on, but what I want to emphasize is most people want to be at home. They don't want to be in a care center for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is you're with other people. The best care is where you live. If you are at home and you have people that can take care of you because you know your surroundings. And the other reason is there's an obvious thing. The ratio of caregiving, if you're at home, is 1 to 1 or 1 to 2, 1 to 3, if you have enough people that like you.
Mm.
If you are in a care center, it might be 1 to 10, 1 to 20, who knows what the ratio is. And most Americans are patient. They don't want to wait
No.
around for someone to do something. Um, and so this is where Americans or people like choice. And one of the things that people don't want to do is, if they don't have to, is they don't want to rely solely on their own assets, and they certainly don't feel that they want to rely on social services for all the reasons, they may feel it's bureaucracy, or it's somebody saying, it's like in the thing, my social services, my rules. And so
Right.
these are things that people, if you have a plan and you can fund it, and it's probably going to happen, then you're going to your family is emotionally and physically and financially going to feel better. And so it's the person that needs caregiving. And there's something else that sometimes I don't bring up as much as I should, is that when you're not feeling well, or you have, a severe, issue, you feel vulnerable. And I've had, some a couple times some severe medical issues. I had a couple of heart attacks. I had a severe hernia situation, and my parents' lives. They had some very stressful. A car accident, heart
Hmm.
attack, long term, and it makes you feel vulnerable. And that's a bad place to be, when you're feeling vulnerable and you have all the other worries and the people around you are worrying. So what I do is, I'm not going to make you better, and I'm
Right.
not. Maybe I may not even make you happier. But
So,
what I can promise, and I'm not even running for office, is I will promise you that you'll have, if you have the appropriate plan, it will provide sufficient money so that you can make those caregiving choices.
so, uh, what is the difference then between your regular health insurance and, say, Medicare with long-term care insurance? Because people might be like, okay, but why do I need this in addition to that?
That's a great question. Health insurance pays for health insurance.
Hmm.
Medicare is A and B, or the supplementaries pay for the same thing that your company health care plans or your private health care plans. They all do the same thing. Um, th- but here's the difference. Neither health plan, whether it's a private health plan or a Medicare plan, even if you have a Medicare Advantage or supplementary plan, it it will pay for some care services for short term. For example, suppose you have, an accident, or you have a heart attack or stroke. And you're in the hospital, and maybe you even spend some time in a care
Hmm.
facility to be rehabilitated. It will pay the first 10 days full amount, anyway, up to 100 days. After that, you're up and out. But some of that you might have to do a copay. Whether you're at home or you're in a care service facility, Medicare doesn't pay for that, not for the long term. That's why they call it long term. It will pay for short term. Let's say you have a medical procedure. Medicare, not your health insurance, but Medicare will pay for a period of time. For recovery. Let me say it that way. It'll pay for recovery.
Hmm.
Long-term care insurance, you might recover. You might,
Right.
and that's fine. But if you don't, the long-term care plan will carry on. Medicare won't.
Okay. So here's a question, because my dad and I ran into this with my mom. So when she got diagnosed, the doctors and everything told us right away she was, unfortunately, she didn't get diagnosed till she was in so she was moderate to severe dementia, and the doctors and the nurses all told us there was no way we were going to be able to take care of her at home by ourselves, so we were going to have to put her in
Why
memory care.
not? Why not?
Because she was so mobile and she was already so severe, there was no way just he and I could take care of her, so we had to put her where she was safe, because she got out a couple times out of my house with it.
She escaped, huh?
Yeah, she did. And she was
Yeah.
very mobile, considering even the hospice nurse had said she was highly unusual for the severity of her dementia, that she could still walk without a walker or any assisted devices to the very end. So my dad and I didn't even realize about long-term care insurance until we had to start looking for a memory care facility. And at that point, there was no way he could get the long-term care insurance. So when is a good time to get it? Like, I mean, it's kind of like, what are the odds that somebody might need it? And when should you get it? Because you can't, when you need it, it's way too expensive and you can't use it. So you have to get it ahead of time, right?
That's right. A plug for me is that if you go to my website, www.levineltcins.com, and you look in the upper left, you could there is it's an artificial intelligence thing. You can put in your information about your lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and then it will tell you your likelihood of how long you live, and then it will get into a number of other things of how what the cost of long-term care insurance would be in 2026 or 2046 or 2056, to sort of give you an idea of what you think your longevity might be based on your lifestyle. So that'll sort of give you an idea of when the likelihood is of you needing caregiving. Now, the simple answer to say when you should get it, it's the same. It is almost the same thing as when should you start retirement?
True.
Today,
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's true.
When should you have good eating habits? Today.
Yeah.
Give up the potato chips. Have them every once in a while. Look, I love potato chips.
Right.
But I'm a recovering blubber person. If you, I've got last a year and a half ago, I was 245. I'm now 170.
Oh, well, good for
So
you. Yeah.
so when should you begin to think about it? Today. Why? Because there are three factors that I believe are important. Or I mean, some of it is part of the getting your long-term care benefits. One is your health. It's all done by health assessment. And so the better health you are, you don't need to be perfect. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be perfect. But if you have, if you do have some chronic, if you have a neurological disease, you've been diagnosed, or you have, severe heart or diabetes, there's some things that, are more complicated. However, there are still plans, depending on the state you live, that you can still get a plan. We can have that conversation, or if you have assets not needed for retirement, there are plans where you can just transfer the assets and leverage it. What do I mean by leverage? Leverage means you put something in and you get something, and that you have it multiplies. So, for example, if you have a annuity, or you have a cash value life insurance, or you have some other asset that you can convert to cash.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you put in 100,000, you would then have 300,000 in benefits, and you don't need to even have any health, just because you're transferring it to a long-term care annuity. So there are ways that can be done, but the second part is it's your health and your age. Why? It's the same with retirement planning or any kind of planning. Is that the sooner you do it, the younger you are. Usually, you'll have a cost of living rider as part of your plan, where the plan grows, and there's monthly benefits. Let's say you start off with 4,000, that by the time you need it might be 8 or 9,000. So you're giving it time,
Mm-hmm.
and the premiums are the premiums are a lot less. It's sort of like buying a car. When you buy a car at the end of the month or the end of the year,
Right.
That you'll save some money. So, or you go to Costco when you get the best deals, or when's the most available early in the morning. And the third thing that I also say, ask people is, what do you want your plan to do? Because that's
Okay.
also important too. Because people say, well, I don't want to spend a lot on it. I don't want to. The question we'll ask is, what do you want your plan to do? If whatever it is you decide to do, whatever it is you tell me to do, even if I might say, look, let me make some suggestions that, those are decisions you have to live with. If you say, I want the minimum, and that's always the thing. I always think of car insurance. When you buy car insurance or home insurance, you want a high deductible, but then when you need it, then you want,
Right.
then you want a low deductible.
Right.
So I don't want to give people, buyer's remorse or to say I should have. It's, when you have a conversation with Raymond, we'll have a conversation, and whatever it is you decide to do, then I'll do in a summary to say, we talked about this, you said this, so that, it doesn't come back to me. So, well, why didn't you do this? Or why is it this? So people make decisions, and here's it's not a downside, but it is buying a long-term care plan is not, there's nothing fun about it.
No,
I
not
mean,
at all.
you go and you buy a car, you go to have a nice dinner, you go on vacation. That's fun. But doing this, if you do it right, it may be once or twice, meaning you buy it, maybe you need, something extra, something extra. But once it's done, it's done. It's like doing your, estate plan. You do whatever once in a while. You check on your retirement plan every once in a while, and it's the long term. I'm hoping the people that, are clients of mine that are maybe in the 30s, 40s, 50s, I hope they don't need it for 30 years. And that's a long, it's a long time.
Yes.
Um, and so as I say, you're buying the future, and and a lot of people don't want to buy the future. They want to buy right now, or they want the fun or the benefit right now. But some things, it's better to plan so that you get something in the future. Look, we all spent more or less 12 years and graduated from high school. And then, depending what you did, whether you went to technical school or
Right.
college or something, that, sometimes, the big payoff, might not come for 15 or 20 years, but you got to do all the other things in advance before you get, the benefits.
Right. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much it costs to take care of somebody. Example with my mom, my dad spent like $7,000 a month for her to be in memory care, and she was in it for 3.5 years. People don't realize how much that costs. Now there are, Medicaid homes and things like that. We were able to, she was able to be in a private home like that, but it was crazy, the prices of what it costs for that. I mean, and that was out without any insurance. So if we would have had long-term care insurance, it might have helped him a little bit financially.
Well, it would have helped. It would have helped immeasurably,
Yeah.
not the least of which, depending on where you got the 7,000. If it was from income, retirement income, you paid taxes on it. If
Hmm.
you own a long-term care plan, here's the thing that makes it fun to own. If you want to have an immediate benefit, if you own a long-term care plan, it's not taxable. In other words, if
Oh,
you get
okay.
1,000 a month, it's not taxable. You don't have to list in your tax return as income. So that's 7,000 that you were paying. You could either have reinvested. You could have done something else. To have it grow. But if you so it's a good if it's a good tax planning advice
Hmm.
device. Also, if you own a business, you can deduct a good portion of the premiums. And also, let me bring up for it is that you say about when to buy. One of the other things that is to encourage people, if they're in a company, is to ask them if they have a company plan. And
Okay.
if they don't, say, why don't you talk to Raymond or somebody, or some brokers know about it, or they'll say, well, it's awful, but when ask within the company, look, have people left because they have to take care of people, or the owners or the managers, they've been in caregiving situations where their assignments, and somebody says, where's this person? Oh, they're away taking care of a parent, and here they have, job assignments.
Right.
So but here's the benefit if a company has a plan is, especially for the younger people, they might own a plan, and let's say they have a 5% cost of living rider, and if they don't need it for 50 years, even if it's 2,000 a month, you realize what a $2,000 a month benefit with 5%, in 50 years, what it would be. They might never have to have a plan. The other benefit is some of these plans, even if you have lousy health, even if you have no health, if it's a plan that doesn't ask for any health assessment, you will get covered.
Oh, so what would be some of the main factors that might affect a policy premium for a person?
Well, one is age.
Okay.
That's the obvious. It's like retirement. You don't want to start saving for retirement at 64. You just don't.
Exactly. Right.
Unless you're expecting a big inheritance or something.
Well, yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to give it time.
Right.
But the best, but the early, the younger you are, the premiums are a lot less. They're a lot less, and it gives you time to build, to build up your plan. On the reverse, the older you are, the older, the closer you are that you might need caregiving, and you have to buy a bigger plan because you want more in monthly benefits. You haven't given it time, so those two factors alone will make the premium more expensive, and hopefully you're in reasonably good health. At least you can get standard. Now, if you're really good health, you can get even when I say substandard, what I really mean is that you can get a premium that's less because you're in better health, and so actuarially,
Hmm.
actually it's not actually, it's really morbidity. You're more likely to not need caregiving sooner, and you're probably going to live longer, so they'll give you a discount.
Oh, okay. So, what are some alternatives if someone can't afford or doesn't qualify for the traditional long-term care insurance? What can they do?
Interesting you add. Okay, if you have this is also something. If you have family and they like you, you
Okay.
can ask, you can say, look, I'm on a fixed income, could you help contribute? So, and from the family point of view, that's a good investment where, if the family, contributes to the premium, then mom and dad or the step people, whatever, that they have a plan so that they can continue on with their lives and careers, and save for retirement and do all the other things they want to do. So families can contribute. Now, if your family doesn't like you, you don't have any family, you don't want to ask them, you feel embarrassed. Depending on the state, there are more and more. There's Aetna, there's Wellaby, and can't think of the other one. It's a very, very Omniflex. These are short-term plans. They can be 1 or 2 years, but depending on how you do it, you can even extend it out. And the premiums are really reasonable. I mean, you can get just a phenomenal plan for like $125 a month. And it can be as good or better than a regular long-term care plan. And or another one you can get is called True Freedom. It's $95 a month. It has 4 levels. It's like Costco card. You have the basic, and then you have the different levels.
Hmm.
But it's a subscription plan. Actually, something else. You don't need any health. But so long as you don't need immediate caregiving, you can own a True Freedom plan, and it pays for home care. It'll either pay reimbursement for a licensed care center, or if it's off hours, it will reimburse family or friends to help you with your care, after 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And what you're doing is you're buying hours. It's like the example would be Costco or Walmart, some subscription plan. It's a subscription plan. It's really not a health plan. It's a subscription plan,
Okay.
and it will pay only for home care benefits. What it will do, most of the things that a regular long-term care plan will provide.
Okay. Well, those are all good alternatives. So, if somebody is interested in this, what would be the best thing for them to do? I mean, obviously, because you said it varies a little bit by state. So, where would be the best place for someone to start?
Well, you start in the state that you are, and if you want to contact me,
Mm-hmm.
it's Raymond Line 253-432-9491 or 253-275-6091. I sound like a Earl Scheib commercial.
Yeah.
Uh, the Depending on the state, you can call me, and if I'm not licensed, I'm licensed in most Western states, but if I'm not licensed there, then you can call me and I'll refer somebody that's really good in this. They may either be in whatever, your state, or they have, like me, a lot of non-resident licenses to practice in various states. So, if you want to call me and tell me the situation, and I'll say, look, I think this person would be good for you. Now, if it's for a company, then I can deal in any state. But if it's an individual or family, they can call me, and I can, depending on the state, I know somebody, or I can find somebody that's very good to consult with them.
Okay. So, and you also have a website too, right? It's RaymondLevineOfficial.com, and it has a lot of that information on there as well too. Is that correct?
That's right. And my website is www.levineltcins.com, levineltcins.com.
Okay. So, yeah, so that way people can check that out in that,
That's right.
because long-term care insurance is something that you don't think about till you need it, but then it's too late. So it's always something to think ahead of time, because you never know when you'll be in that caregiving situation, whether you're the caregiver or somebody's taking care of you. So it's definitely something to think about. You would agree, I'm sure.
I'm an advocate of it because just like you've been personally involved, you know what the costs are. So if you know what the costs are, then you say, if it happened to my parent or to my mother, or it will happen to my father, it may happen to me. So what am
Hmm.
I going to do about it? And the way to do about it is that, the ultimate thing is that you have a long-term care plan. But if you feel that you have enough money or enough family and you really don't want to do it, there's nothing I can say that will say buy a plan.
Right.
But alternative, it is a great investment. And you may say, well, it's insurance. It's an investment. And when you buy life insurance, I mean, if you buy whole life insurance, it's insurance. I'm not going to do, but it's an asset. If you when you're listing your assets and you own cash value life, it's an asset. If you own a hybrid plan, long-term care plan, you can list it as an asset. It's an asset. So you could, and also if you have some side business, you make pottery, or you make whatever it is you do, and you have an LLC, you can deduct some of the premiums. You can deduct a premium, and as I said earlier, when you need the plan, if there are no taxes.
Okay. Well, this has been very informative. Very, very informative. So thank you for joining us here today, Raymond. I really appreciate it. I think you gave our listeners a lot of good information.
Well, thank you for having me, Lisa. It's been fun.
Yes, definitely. I've learned a lot myself today. So so you explained it, because sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with all the insurance. So it made more sense to me now. So
Well, if you talk to me, or you talk, the thing that I wish people would say is, I don't want to be overwhelmed, and I understand that, because I don't like to be overwhelmed. The way I do it is, I will have the conversation. I will explain. They often say, I'm going to educate, and I think we sort of overdo that. We will share information. So, by the time, you either decide, that you're going to do something, you will feel comfortable about the process, and you'll feel comfortable to say, if I did it, I did the right thing, and I do not have any remorse.
Yes, exactly. So, well, thank you again for joining us. So, hopefully, our audience has learned some good information about long-term care insurance. So, hopefully, they've enjoyed their cup of tea or their cup of coffee or their glass of wine, and hopefully, you
Or
all,
juice,
yes,
cranberry juice.
or juice, yes, for it. And I'll have all the information on how they can get hold of you as well on the website. So, hopefully, everyone will join us again for another edition of Patty's Place.